I'm Alpha Trivette. Here's my 5-minute take on the world as I start the clock for you right now and say thanks for listening and or watching wherever you are. It is deeply appreciated, as are your thoughts and comments. Going to talk about people who really have made jackasses of themselves over the past few days. And there certainly is no shortage of that, is there? We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, here's a brain stretcher question for today. 70% of people said they could watch this on TV and know how to do it themselves. What do you think it is? And it's nothing to do with riding a bicycle or whipping up any sort of recipe or any kind of sex, so you can get that off your mind. Okay, maybe it was just me who had it on my mind, but never mind. We'll talk about those people who made jackasses of themselves, but first, there's some really scary stuff going on in the world right now, and I hope you pay attention to what's happening, because the powder keg could blow up. This flotilla deal in the Middle East. Israel has blocked the ports to try to get what is called relief aid to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. The people who organized the flotilla say it's not about getting relief in there, it's about breaking the blockade. Okay, well, there is a big difference there, isn't it? And obviously that is the case because Israel has offered to, well, just go to port over here and we'll check everything on the cargo, and if it's okay, if it's relief aid, then we'll let it go into Gaza. But if it's any type of ammunition or bombs or anything that you're going to use to attack us, it's not going through. Fair enough, isn't it? They didn't want to do that. Egypt offered to do the same thing. We'll bring it over here, we'll look at it, make sure it is relief aid, and then we'll let it go through. Didn't want to do that either. Preferred to run the blockade. Well, now Iran has jumped in. They said, well, they will escort the flotilla, hoping, of course, that they can somehow provoke some sort of reaction from Israel and ignite the whole powder keg over there in the Middle East. Keep an eye on it, folks. It could be very scary. All right, people who made jackasses of themselves. I guess the least offensive to us would be Hillary Clinton, because she didn't do it to us. She did it to the Queen of England. And I guess it was unintentional, but if you're the head of the State Department, you should kind of know these things. She sent birthday wishes and a big birthday thing to Queen Elizabeth. All well and good, but it wasn't her birthday. Her birthday's not till next weekend. So you got to understand something about the Queen. If you're dining with the Queen, when the Queen's done eating, everybody's done eating. So if the Queen ain't celebrating her birthday, ain't nobody celebrating her birthday. So, I mean, they were a bit put off. I mean, England is our best friend in the world, right? And we should know them a little bit better than that, shouldn't we? State Department apologized and saying, well, we just sent it out a little early. The Queen doesn't look at it that way, okay? And this comes after, remember a year or so ago, when celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Queen on the throne in England, and she came to the United States and presented Barack Obama with this very thoughtful thing. It was a piece of wood from one of the first slave ships that came from Africa, bringing Africans to America to be slaves in this country. And very thoughtful and very valuable. He, in turn, gave her an iPod filled with his speeches. Kind of narcissistic, don't you think? Anyway, I'm sure England will eventually forgive us for that one. Now, Helen Thomas. I'm sure you heard what she said about Jews in Israel and how they should just get the hell out and leave Palestine and go to Poland or Germany or America or wherever they came from. And I guess she left out and just didn't think about saying go back to Auschwitz or Dachau. I don't know. But had it been about anyone else, had it been about Hispanics or blacks saying something as derogatory, people would be screaming for her head. Right now, the only one who's doing so is Ari Fleischer, the former spokesperson for George Bush. And he, being Jewish, is saying, you know, she should lose her job over this. And I guess she should. Then there's Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney received the Gershwin Award at the White House. A gala celebration. It's a lifetime award for music, which he deserves. One of the great musicians of all time. But then he has to make some stupid political comment, some insult about George Bush. It was totally out of place, not funny, and really in poor taste. Didn't belong there, so why did you need to bring that up, Paul? And he said something about the president not knowing, former president not knowing about libraries. I will bet he's been in more libraries than you have, Paul, and I'd put his reading list up against yours any day. And finally, Barack Obama, the guy who says he's been on top of this Gulf oil thing since day one, certainly has been partying a lot. I mean, he's partying on the West Coast fundraisers. He's partying with the Duke basketball team. He had that party with Paul McCartney where he was singing and dancing on stage. Had another party similar to that the other night at the White House with Kelly Clarkson, George Lopez hosting, and Lionel Richie and others. So it certainly has a lot of partying going on for you to be on top of this Gulf oil thing, huh? All right, here's the answer to the brain stretcher question. 70% of people said they could watch it on TV and know how to do it. CPR. Could you? Hope you could. Hope you don't have to. But, by the way, if you know how to deliver a CPR to a whole country, we certainly are sucking for air right now. I'm Alpha Trivette. It's my 5 minutes. See you next time.